Greetings! Welcome to Greetings, the greatest recording ever embarked, teaching individuals new guitar skills. You know, at first I wasn't sure what to call this project. I kind of thought maybe the Shredronomicon, or maybe the guitarist's grimoire, but then I realized the one thing I say every video is greetings, because I want you to feel welcome. This project is not a beginner's guide to the guitar. This body of work is a compendium of essential knowledge to help you throughout your entire career as a guitarist. Greetings. Pentatonics, 5 notes, make an incredible scale. A lot of people ask me, Rob, how do I break out of the box? The thing is, before you can break out of a box, you need to fully know the box. This next section with pentatonic jammers is going to give you a tool to break out of the box. 5 pentatonic position jammers, 5 notes in the pentatonic scale, 5 pentatonic scales, 5 things. We're going to be learning all 5 of them, because when you learn how to jam in each individual pentatonic position, kind of boxed, isolated, you will eventually be free to break free of the individual positions. So you're all going to know position 1 pentatonic scale. And so many people will just use this one pentatonic position to play all of their lead solos and learn all the licks and everything in it, and they never venture to 4 or even, 3. It's about being safe. We want to be safe in the position that we know the geography of. And how do you get to know the geography? Well, you learn to jam in that one area. So these 5 pentatonic jammers are specifically designed for you to improvise on your own. So you are your own rhythm player and lead player. And you work and focus on one part of the fretboard. I wrote them for you so that you don't have to do it. Now here's one that you're definitely going to have heard a million times if you found me through the Andertons YouTube channel and you are familiar with my demonstration work in general, because I've always used this. This is something I taught students for years and years and years, and I really like it, and recently actually wrote it into a tune for Clockwork Wolf and Company. It sounds like this. Let's learn position 1. So we're going to be using the A string. By the way, these are in different keys. So position 1, I've chosen A to be the key. So we're simply using the 7th fret, my 3rd finger and my little finger on the D and G string, and I'm going to be picking the A string and plucking with my kind of sweary finger and my ring finger the D and the G string. So you get this. That is your first chord, the A string giving you the root, and then this D and G string, 7th fret, giving you your first chord. Then we simply lift up the little finger, put down the 2nd finger on the G string at the 6th fret. That's the 2nd chord. So I'm picking and plucking the A string, D string, and G string simultaneously. My 1st finger then rests down at the 5th fret, and it's going to cover both the D and the G string, but I'm letting the A string open for this one. And then the last chord, little finger, comes down to the G string at the 7th fret and gives you the last chord. So here are the chords in sequence. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now I've written this rhythm. But it doesn't matter. You can play this arrhythmically. It doesn't even need a rhythm. You just need a focus for melody. So for example, you could use the first part. Or you could maybe just use one of these chords. As long as you are focused in that one pentatonic position, and as much as possible try not to stray into position 5 or number 2, just stay in one, you will learn to dominate that one pentatonic position. Let's move on to position numero dos. Number 2. Again, we're going to be using the key of A. They won't all be in A, I promise you. This is what I have written for you. Again, it's freeing because you don't need to stick to this rhythm. You can create your own rhythm. I'll teach it to you section by section, and you can just make it your own playground for position 2 pentatonic, which, in case you don't know it, is this. So I'm using first finger on the 7th fret D string, little finger on the 9th fret G string, and I'm using the A string as a root. So this is really our first little dyad, first little chord. And then I'm lifting my little finger up to cause a little kind of bit of boogie, a bit of movement within the chord. And then my second finger comes down to the B string to give me this interesting kind of bluesy sound to the rhythm. Then all you need to do is bring your second finger down to the C note on the E string, which is the 11th, 10th, 9th, 8th fret, and just use the chord you've already created with the first and little finger, and this as your root. And then bring your first finger up to the 7th fret, remove your second finger, and now you're rooting here instead. So I'm always plucking the D and the G string, using that as a kind of melodic focus, but I'm changing the bass note underneath it, going from the B note to the C note. So you've got A, C, B. Position 3, this is a cool one. We're going to change to the key of E for position 3, just why not? Here is how position 3 looks in case you are not familiar. Of course, this is purely pentatonic. I'm not adding the flat 5 to make it a blues scale. You can do that. Use this as your own playground. That's the key, really. So this is just a simple straight ahead blues, but exactly where your hand stays for position 3, which is why it's so awesome. So we're going to be using the chord of E. We're going to be using the chord of A. And we're going to be using the chord of B. That's all we need. We've got a blues, basic blues stuff, and then we can stay where we are and play lead around these chords. Use your own rhythm, use your own imagination, make it your own. Here's how I would play it. Let's look at the chords individually. So chord number 1, the E chord, second finger on the 7th fret A string, first finger on the 6th fret D string, third finger on the G string at the 7th fret, optional little finger up on the E string at the 7th fret. Play them all, including that nice fat bass E string. It's going to sound great with that flat 7 intervallic and a major third, giving you nice bluesy power tone. That's the E chord. And you can really focus on just playing that chord if you want to, and then getting a groove around it, finding interesting melody within this one position 3 pentatonic scale. The A chord I'm using is this. It's the open A string. And I've really chosen a chord that keeps you on the position rather than moving around, because I think it's better to stay where you are. So open A string, 7th fret on the D string with my second finger. I'm using the 6th fret G string with my first finger. I'm using my little finger on the 8th fret B string. And that's it. So you can use your thumb to reach over and mute that thick E string, and also underneath my little finger I am just touching that E string. So really what I get is nothing, notes, nothing. And then B chord is pretty much exactly the same as the E chord, but I'm bringing it up one string. So it is 7, 6, 7, and then optional little finger on the B string at the 7th fret. Those are your 3 chords. 3 chord trick, it's all you need. Position 4, I've written kind of a hyper boogie Jimi Hendrix style thing. It's really, really, really cool. Use it as your own personal sonic playground. This is how it sounds. Let's take a look at the minutiae. So, the first chord, the D, I'm using the open D string. I do a lot of droning strings when I'm focusing on learning the melodic use of a scale or a mode. So open D string, my third finger's on the 7th fret, my first finger is on the 5th fret, and I'm just paddling between the two, like that. I'm using my second finger to manipulate the 6th fret B string if and when I want to use that note. But you could just play all of those notes, or kind of use these two, and play the D, the 5th fret G, and the 6th fret B like this. It's a funky sounding chord. It's enough, just a groove on that. Anyway, the next chord, I'm bringing my first finger down, playing the A note on the E string, and I'm playing a power chord. Just using that nice fat bass string here at the 5th fret, and then 7th fret A string, 7th fret D string. And I'm using these two notes here as kind of a way of getting some movement in the chord. I'm bringing it back to the bar and then fretting down again. But you don't have to. You could just play the chord as it is. And then the kind of Jimi Hendrix motif is just a fun thing. I'm sliding from wherever you'd like up to the 7th fret on the A string. And then my first finger is just flattening down the 5th fret, D and G string. So you get this. And then here's an example of how you could play some lead within it. That's position 4 in case you're not familiar. Anything like that. Take your time, make it non-rhythmical if you want, or add a metronome, add a drum machine, or record it and loop it, whatever you need to do by any means necessary to isolate you in position 4. Position 5, the last one. I love this one actually, it's one of my favorite melodic ones to play with. And position 5 is really kind of overlooked because it's so near position 1. Not many people drift back into it unless it's to play the lower part. Here is what I have written for you. So let's take a look at the chords. We've got an E chord, we've got ourselves a nice D chord, and we've got an A chord. So it's really simple stuff. In fact, you could move this one, since it is non-reliant on open strings, to any key. But I put it in E because it's for the key of the people. So second finger, 12th fret, and then I'm using 12th fret again for the D and G string with my third and my little finger. You could, of course, supplement this 12th fret for an open string. So you get this. Rather than this. Or you could do both. Whatever works. And then I'm bringing, leaving these two fingers where they are, bringing my first finger to the 10th fret and giving myself a root note there. Take my little finger off, put my second finger down on the 11th fret G string. A little bit of movement within the chord. I know that this isn't strictly a pentatonic note, but it's nice to have some melodic input. And then an E chord, the A chord, 12th fret A string with my second finger, 12th fret G string with my third finger. First finger comes down to the B string at the 10th fret, and I'm picking. which feels really nice. And yet you can play this in any key. You could do it here. So, what do we do with them? Each individual jammer. Learn to play some rhythm, some bass notes, play lead on top of those little jammers, strictly sticking to that one pentatonic position. Minimalize it down. Just focus on the one position. Then, when suddenly position 5 starts to feel like it's home, like if you play a fat E chord, you would go to position 5 and start playing lead, then you can start to move into 2 positions, 1 and 5, and really join them up. Eventually, the whole fretboard, every position, will feel as if it is home for you, and you've broken out of the box by focusing on each individual box.